So turmeric is my mothership favorite plant on earth. I love it. Ginger is also phenomenal. Ginger
Yeah.
is anti-inflammatory. It's gut protective. We know when people are nauseous, we give them ginger. Ginger will
Right.
get in there and line the gut lining. So
Mm.
just using ginger in the morning will ignite gut digestive fire and support gut health for the day. I love ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is like this powerhouse. It's my favorite herb after turmeric. I would do a whole PhD on ashwagandha if I had all my free time, but I have kids, so I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
yet. So they're older and off to college. But
Yeah.
ashwagandha is a adaptogen. So if the body is stressed and anxious, it calms it down a couple notches. If you're having the blues and depressed, it lifts you up. It's like this perfect thermostat. So I
Yeah.
love that adaptogens have that intelligence in the system.
Welcome to the Functional Edge. I'm Dr. Julia Ward, and this is where science meets real world strategies for living healthier, sharper, and stronger. From uncovering hidden environmental toxins to unlocking peak performance and mental clarity, we cover it all. Ready to take control of your health and thrive? Let's dive in.
Here we go. So, how does chronic inflammation impact the aging process, and what unique insights does Ayurveda offer about mitigating this impact?
Absolutely. So Ayurveda is this entire ancient system of medicine, health and healing from India that's over 5,000 years old. And within Ayurveda, we have a lot of different tools in the toolkit. But what's cool is a lot of these different tools help with addressing inflammation. And we
Mhm.
know that chronic inflammation is one of those big root cause issues that's plaguing us as a society that we're struggling with. So many people around me, I'm 44, so everyone around me in their 40s and 50s says, "Oh, I'm getting more and more tired. I'm fatigued. I can't go out as much. When I wake up, my joints are stiff. I always have
Mhm.
digestive issues. Doesn't matter what I eat, something always throws me off. Can't drink alcohol anymore." All these kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weight loss is a big struggle as we age. And so I always look at them and say, it's not aging, it's inflammaging. We are
Yeah.
chronically inflamed. We have this low grade persistent fire going on, and that's the troublemaker. And so that's where Ayurveda is really powerful because Ayurveda teaches us about circadian clock, about our gut digestive fire, about eating a diet that's seasonal and circadian and has a lot of nutrient density and nutrient variety. We talk
Hmm.
about self-care rituals every day that help gently detox. We talk about the importance of big seasonal and annual detoxes to clean and clear the lymphatic system and support that gut health and every system of the body to be clean and clear so the body can stay healed. And then
Yeah.
finally, we teach a lot about super spices and turmeric because I love using turmeric as a tool, but also so many of the others, adaptogens, ashwagandha, ginger, different teas and tools we can use from the Mother Earth kingdom of solutions to help with chronic inflammation. So I really look at inflammation as, yes, we're going to get inflamed. We have a toxic burden just living in
Yeah.
modern day times. But
Right.
we also have a lot of tools we can use to switch that around and change the course of things so we
Mhm.
aren't so plagued by it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much inflammation, and that's one of the things that I teach about in my practice as well, that there's just an infinite number of insults to the body, but it kind of boils down to inflammation as the lowest common denominator.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
in your view, what are the main contributors to inflammation in modern lifestyles? And then how can we address these using the Ayurvedic principles?
Absolutely. A lot of our toxic burden nowadays comes innocuously in ways we don't realize. I look at it as our water quality, our
Mm.
food quality, our air quality. Some of these are hard to change, but we can filter our water better so it has less toxin residue in there. We can buy good air filtration systems for our home, change our filters regularly, diffuse essential oils as opposed to candles or other fragrance
Mhm.
creating things that are endocrine disruptors. When it comes to food, really taking a look at pesticide burden, making sure you know what are those dirty dozen foods and avoiding them if they're going to have that big pesticide burden on them. Let's switch to organic for the dirty dozen. And also for dairy and meat and these kinds of things, switching to organic. We also know, thanks to functional medicine and practitioners like you, that there's a lot of root causes that are causing trouble.
Mhm.
Lyme disease is an example, but mold,
Yeah.
heavy metals, a lot of these bigger issues are actually the root cause problem that people are dealing with. And so, from the Ayurvedic perspective, we know that just living our normal life will cause a toxic burden. That's just factual. It's just
Yeah.
worse now in modern day times, now that our skincare and cleaning products and everything are kind of adding up. But we look at it as, what are your daily practices that you can use to gently detox? It's a body. We're not dealing with a machine here. So
Yeah.
let's be gentle, let's be kind to it. So one simple practice from Ayurveda is to use a copper tongue scraper. So we teach,
Mm.
take a tongue scraper in the morning and gently scrape your tongue 7 to 14 times. And what is that going to do? When it comes to our feet and reflexology, according to ancient Chinese medicine, all of the organs are reflected on the feet. That's why when you have reflexology, if you're pregnant, they're like, don't let them push every button on the bottom of your foot. But in Ayurveda, we teach that all those organs are reflected on the tongue. And so by
Oh,
gently scraping the tongue, you're gently massaging all the organs of the body. You're gently detoxing them. We're clearing those taste buds. We're supporting oral health, which is gut microbiome health. We know
hmm.
that scraping the tongue will increase nitric oxide. And we also
Mm.
know that it helps ignite the digestive fire in the morning. So it's going to help ignite that movement that we want. So you have your first bowel movement. So everything's clean and moving, clean and clear and moving properly. So that's a simple example of Ayurveda's perspective, which is daily detox practices. And we also teach another one called oil pulling. So many people have heard of oil pulling. Oil pulling is an Ayurvedic practice. You just take organic food grade oil, not any
Mhm.
junky oil. So your coconut oil, MCT oil. We
Okay.
love sesame oil in Ayurveda. And you take about a tablespoon or two, put it in the mouth, and hold it in your mouth for 5 to 20 minutes. And you can switch this around, move it through your gums, through your teeth. And when you spit it out, make sure you spit it out in the trash, not in the toilet, sink, or shower, because it'll clog the pipes of your home. But what you're
Okay.
doing is you're collecting all those heavy metals and toxins and junk that accumulates in the mouth, cleaning up oral microbiome for the conversation that's going to happen between oral microbiome and gut microbiome. So
Oh,
that's
that's,
Ayurveda. It's really gentle practices that add up over time.
I love it. That's great. Tell me about, so turmeric is a cornerstone in both Ayurvedic and functional medicine. Can you explain the specific anti-inflammatory and longevity promoting properties of turmeric and its active compound curcumin?
Absolutely. So for about 20 years, I've been practicing Ayurveda. I've studied it, I've loved it. It's this system that helped heal my gut after I had taken way too many antibiotics growing up. And I couldn't understand why I didn't have an immune system that supported me. Anytime
Hmm.
someone sneezed or coughed, I would just go down. I couldn't fly without getting sick, couldn't go to a party without getting sick. And so I always wished, like, was there something out there that could just solve this? And definitely using functional medicine for what are those root causes in the gut that we need to address, bringing in great probiotics and tools to win at that helped. But the Ayurvedic piece was also important to me. So spices like turmeric are great support. It's a powerful polyphenol. We know through all the science. Once I did my master's in Ayurveda and I studied all the spices, I realized turmeric has this really multifaceted approach of supporting our health. And so my entire PhD dissertation was on it. So for about 3 years there, all I did, I think it was 3 years. It could have been like 5 years. It took forever. But I sat there in the science of turmeric in PubMed and Google Scholar and online, and I met with the researchers who are working on curcumin in the labs. Basically, turmeric is a very powerful anti-inflammatory, and it affects many of the different pathways of inflammation. Two key ones are NF-kappa B and TNF-alpha. And so the
Hmm.
fact that it affects those two and COX and LOX across many different pathways means that when the body is really inflamed, turmeric goes in there and just cleans house. It addresses it, simmers down a lot of that inflammation. Then it goes after the medium-sized problem and then the smaller problems. That's what I've seen anecdotally working with turmeric for the last 10 years. In the science, we just know factually that it's kind of shocking, I think, to modern day science how well turmeric works. And that's why there's so much investigation going into like why it works for chronic joint pain for different patients who are losing function in their hands and their back. There's just a lot of science going into turmeric right now, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And it's not only a powerful anti-inflammatory, it's a powerful antioxidant, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-candida, anti-H. pylori. When there's
Wow.
cells that don't belong in the body, curcumin from turmeric is the ultimate janitor. It goes in there and causes cell apoptosis. So when we have cells in our body that just don't belong anymore, it causes cell death. We know as we age, zombie cells form in the body and start running around and damaging us. Turmeric's
Hmm.
like this ultimate janitor. It just comes in there and cleans those out. And we
Wow.
know it has an impact on our sirtuins, on our telomeres, AMPK pathways. We know it's anti-obesity. We know it's gut microbiome supportive, so it helps the gut microbiome lining. So there's just so much application when it comes to turmeric, and that really excites me. I utilize it for two things. One, I know we have to reduce those chronic fires of inflammation. And two, I have an immune system that defends me. When my kids come home with their viruses and their stuff that they bring home, I have a complete like Wonder Woman shield around me, and I don't get sick anymore because I use turmeric. And so
That's
my
awesome.
study has been about the benefits of turmeric and then the applications. So a lot of
Okay.
people say, I juice my turmeric. It's fresh, it's amazing, and I get all the benefits. I'm like, that is great for you. Some people
Yeah.
can do that. Then there's the spice turmeric, which is the more concentrated version. If you're going to use the spice turmeric in your cooking, that's great. Make
Uh-huh.
sure you're adding black pepper or a healthy fat to get the benefits of it. And then
Okay.
finally, where we're playing with turmeric much more in the functional medicine world and in the medical world is out of the entire turmeric plant, only 3 to 5% of it is the curcuminoids. And we know that the curcuminoids are most effective at reducing inflammation. So 95% of it is okay, but it's not as effective as that last 5% for the inflammation. And so
Mm.
taking curcumin in the correct proportion at the correct potency is what drives that result to reduce significant inflammation. And so my work 10 years ago was, can we formulate something that we could use in orthopedics, rheumatology for these patients who really have pain? And that's what I've loved doing for the last 10 years. And then now I teach a lot more about the preventive aspects of turmeric as well.
Oh, great. Well, that kind of leads me to my next question. With so many turmeric products available, how do people kind of identify high quality supplements that are both safe and effective?
You know, it's actually pretty hard. I was wrapping up my PhD and everyone was like, well, I'm taking turmeric. Is this a good one? And they'd send me pictures. And I myself was like, oh my gosh, there's 50 different ways to label a turmeric supplement. And there's
Yeah.
hundreds of people making them. So this is actually kind of hard to read. And I
Right.
have a PhD in the topic. So wow.
Right.
And so I remember reading some labels and it would say curcuma longa. I'm like, curcuma longa is the plant name. They're just giving you turmeric powder. But because
Yeah.
curcuma sounds like curcumin, you think
Yeah.
it's that stuff that really works.
Yeah.
Sometimes I found them and they had no black pepper or healthy fat. And I was like, what are you guys doing? You can buy a bag of turmeric at the Indian grocery store for $3 and you're selling it to me encapsulated? That makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the world of extraction and curcumin and curcuminoids, and it gets even harder there. So I always say find a curcumin supplement standardized to 95% at a minimum. Then a
Uh-huh.
lot of companies invest in trademarking and patenting their own special version, putting science behind their version.
Right.
My PhD advisor, when I was studying turmeric, said, never do that. Don't break off pieces of curcumin and call it better. So I
Hmm.
never did that. I never manipulated Mother Nature. I went out and sourced the best curcumin extract I could that rises above that 95% standard, but holds those three curcuminoids in the correct proportion to mimic Mother Nature, because then the body will receive it. A lot of
Mm.
times we're eating foods that are not even real foods to our body. We're eating a lot of ingredients that aren't real to our body, and our body's not going to utilize that.
Yeah.
And so I'm very much about honoring the ancestral wisdom and using things in their correct proportion and form at the highest potency to deliver a result. And so about 10 years ago, I built my formulas, and the doctors and I were all astounded at how it works. They were like, your stuff really works. And I was like, I knew it would work for joint pain, but I didn't expect these types of stories that you're telling me now. So it's
Wow.
been really cool to prove my point, which is we can utilize turmeric for
Yeah.
a lot of the pain and things that we're seeing people struggle with.
Wow. That's great. So what inspired you to create Fusionary Formulas, line of turmeric supplements, and how do they stand out from other products on the market?
Sure. So 10 years ago, when I finished the PhD, I am surrounded by a family of all MDs. And they kind of looked at me like, that's really cute that you studied turmeric. Happy for you. But turmeric doesn't actually have an application into
Yeah.
Western medicine. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually work.
Right.
And if you challenge me, I'm one of those people, I'm gonna have to prove you wrong. And so
Yeah.
I went out there and I was like, I will prove to you that it's as powerful as the other stuff you're giving us. And also around that time, I had like thrown out my back, I had plantar fasciitis, and they would always at PT say, just take NSAIDs
Mm,
24/7 for 10 days, and then you'll
right.
be all healed.
Yeah.
And I listened because it was pre-studying turmeric, and I was like, what?
Right.
Okay. And I would get these horrible stomach aches. And I thought, wow, you solved one problem, but you caused another. And don't you
Hmm.
realize gut health is a major priority to me based on my history? I just
Yeah.
built a good gut. You can't damage it now for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And that's what led me to thinking, okay, if you can make a turmeric that actually works, then you've solved this problem called when we hurt ourselves, which happens in life. We can naturally address it quickly, get it out of the way, and we're not going to harm the body. And so
Yeah.
that's why I created Fusionary. So what we're known for is being the most potent turmeric formula. And a lot of people call me and they're like, I took yours and now I can't go back to anyone else's. None of theirs work. I actually feel yours. I never felt it when I took someone else's. They tell me their back pain is gone. They can walk again. They can walk up the stairs. Lately, like a lot of people at my gym take it and they're like, my finger was having joint pain, but now I can bowl again. So it's just
Wow.
really fun to see
That's
what
awesome.
one herb from Mother Nature can do for our health.
Yeah. That's awesome. So for individuals with busy modern lifestyle, what's the easiest and most impactful Ayurvedic practices that they can adopt to reduce inflammation and promote vitality?
I would say have a very gut-focused lifestyle where you honor gut health, understanding that circadian rhythm is so important, rising with the sun, setting with the sun. We have a lot of practices around circadian rhythm. And then we also teach each person that we each have a bio-individual mind-body constitution called the dosha, and that we're
Mhm.
driven by the five elements from Mother Nature. So fire, earth, air, ether, and water. And so understanding your combination, are you more air and ether, light and thin and wiry and just go, go, go? Are you more fire, more driven and ambitious, and you're one of those people who's a go-getter? Are you more earth? Are you more guffa? That's the person who's more earthy. They're more loyal. They're more one thing after another, bigger boned, different body type. So each of these body types, if you learn how to honor your own and build your own balance, then all of a sudden life feels better. And so it's really an understanding of self,
Yeah.
understanding of how to eat and live so intuitively, how to reach into that spice cabinet and use different tools as we need them, but truly to build a lifestyle practice throughout your life that detoxes and helps you build a lifestyle of more energy. And that's
Yeah.
always my goal with people is how do I help you have more energy? For myself, I want to be strong. I want to have my brain on point. I always want my energy to last me till the end of the day. Those are
Hmm.
my key things. And if I'm doing what it takes for that, then I'm happy. And then next after that, I'm always focused on my blood work. I'm one of those health nuts. So sometimes I go too extreme in areas of my health and I've got to work on my blood work all the time. And or our modern day diet is just not giving us the vitamins and minerals we need. And
Yeah.
so I always have to look at, okay, I've got to support thyroid more. I've got to support hormones more in these things. So Ayurveda really gives us a blueprint. And once you understand that blueprint lifestyle, you can customize it to yourself and evolve with it through your decades.
That's great. That's great. So how can diet, according to the Ayurvedic principles, support long-term wellness and prevent chronic conditions?
We teach a lot about nutrient density, nutrient variety, eating seasonally, sourcing foods that are grown with love, which is a little hard to do right now. Um, Eating with intention, eating according to your circadian clock. So some basic principles from Ayurveda would be when you go to sit down to eat, don't drink a huge glass of ice water right before you eat. That's just turning off your digestive fire, and then you don't have the fire to assimilate and absorb the nutrition from your food. When you
Right.
sit down to eat, take a moment, take one deep breath, and focus on your food and chew your food. We're in the habit of watching something while we're inhaling a meal, while we're
Yes.
running off to the next thing. And we're all culprits of that, myself
Yeah.
included today. I was like, you're eating an organic egg salad made with love on gluten-free toast.
Yeah.
Let go of the phone. But then I was chewing too fast, and I was like, you might want your gut to absorb the benefits of this high protein, clean meal you're eating, right? And
Yes.
so it's just about remembering that even though we're practitioners and we're changing the world and impacting lives, we matter too. And everyone in the audience does too, no matter what your career or responsibilities are. honoring that food is medicine. And
Yeah.
each time you sit to eat, really infusing that food with the love that you need for yourself is going to feed that to you, and then living according to that circadian plan. So I try every week to incorporate one new type of fruit or vegetable into my life. I try
Mm.
to just make sure I fight for that nutrient variety because it's
Hmm.
easy to be on very mono diets. For me, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, those are my protein goals. I'm gluten-free, sugar-free. I only eat these two types of cheese, Parmesan and feta. That's me
Yeah.
eating clean, and this is what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
But then we lose all the joy and variety in there.
Yeah, no, and I can tell you from personal experience and coming from the bodybuilding point of view, when you're meal prepping, it is the same food day in and day out, and it's pretty monotonous, and
Yeah,
there's very little variety. So that's definitely one thing that I think we all need to work on.
absolutely.
So what are your top recommendations for creating a personalized daily self-care routine, or I'm not gonna try to pronounce this word, to promote health, longevity and resilience.
Sure. So I teach something called dinacharya, the daily self-care rituals of your life. And really, that's a way to take the entire Ayurvedic wisdom and build a rhythm into your day. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about waking up in the morning and setting an intention, hydrating the system, and making sure you have that first bowel movement because we want overnight everything to collect in you that doesn't belong and evacuate the system. But if we're going to be constipated and backed up, we don't get to have good health. So it really starts as simplistic as that. Then, once you've hydrated and moved everything through that you need to, let's brush our teeth, copper tongue scraper, oil pulling, do all that oral hygiene stuff that I already mentioned. Then, when you're ready to start your day, taking a few moments to either meditate or pray or journal, set those intentions for the day, maybe practice some breath work. We call it pranayam, the deep
Hmm.
breath work that's going to bring prana and energy into the system, and then start your day. And pre any caffeine, Ayurveda teaches to have aloe vera juice or ginger lemon tea as ways to really support the digestive system, make sure everything's moving and grooving the way we need to. Like if I haven't gone to the bathroom in the morning, those are my two habits to ensure I go before I start my day. Like that's how much the focus is in Ayurveda to make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
Then once you start your day, we teach about 3 square meals a day. But I know nowadays a lot of people are fasting. Even I try intermittent fasting. And so it's about when you have a meal, have the meal. And then don't munch and snack all day because you didn't focus on what belonged in that meal for you to be satiated and held and have the nutrition that you needed for the meal to be really filling. And so Ayurveda says create that rhythm. Eat your breakfast, eat your lunch. Eat lunch between 10 and 2 on the circadian clock. So that top of the clock is important because that's when the sun is highest in the sky. So lunchtime is actually when you have the most force, the most support to absorb all the nutrition from your meal. So if you're going
Yeah.
to eat nuts and seeds and all these kinds of things, raw vegetables and salad,
Yeah.
lunch is your best time to digest all the benefits and gain those benefits from it. And then going into the afternoon, I usually have a high tea time around 4 o'clock. I do have like one snack and tea around 4 just to hold me over for a healthier dinner. And we
Yeah.
teach that dinner should be small and easy to digest so
Hmm.
that it's processed and done. And then from 10 to 2 again on that circadian clock, your body can rejuvenate, clean the lymphatic system, clear inflammation. Like your job has a use for that, what we call pitta or fire time of the night, and that's to
Hmm.
clear the system. And if we waste it, if we have, let's say you go out for a really nice dinner and it's pasta and wine and alcohol and all this stuff that we do when we go out on a Friday, Saturday night, some of us, I don't do that anymore because the punishment is too great and it kills my next day yoga and workout. But I used to do it. And that creates this sluggishness, and your whole body overnight is just focused on processing that meal. And so we know
Yeah.
through science now, circadian clock matters, circadian biology, circadian medicine. And Ayurveda just really drove that point home that we have the power to set the clock for our day, even if you do it 80/20. And you're going
Yeah.
to start to see those benefits of lymphatic system did its job. I'm rejuvenated and healed and feeling awesome, and thus have the energy for the next great day.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. So in what ways do Ayurveda and functional medicine align in addressing inflammation and supporting longevity?
Well, functional medicine is just incredible. I love working with functional medicine practitioners. I love going to the conferences. I am like kid in a candy store excited because functional medicine is this frontier of medicine where you have the best practitioners like yourself coming in saying, I already know longevity, anti-aging medicine. I already know everything that can go wrong. Now I'm diving real deep into all the different root causes that we don't normally get to talk about in Western medicine because it's high patient volume. It's a certain type of practice usually. In functional medicine, you're saying, hey, there's something wrong here. Let me be your chief investigator and help you figure it out. And so I
Mhm.
love it. I've gone to functional medicine for years and we
Yeah.
investigate deeply. We're like, why are Shivani's hormones off? Why did she cause gut dysbiosis again? What's happening here? But because you have that level of testing and the level of deep understanding of supplements and ingredients and things that we can use, lifestyle practices, detoxification protocols, functional medicine is the perfect place to address your health. And what I love is Ayurvedic medicine is a perfect support alongside functional medicine to help hold the lifestyle practices it takes to hold the results. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times I've gone to functional medicine and I'm fixed. And then if you just let me rubber band back to my old ways, I'm not going to keep the amazing result. I'll go back to the old ways. But as long as
Yeah.
I'm holding these Ayurveda lifestyle practices in place and living according to my blueprint, all of
Hmm.
a sudden I get to keep this result that I just invested in getting. So I think
That's
it's a perfect marriage.
yeah. That's a perfect compliment. Yeah, it sounds like it just kind of answered the next question about how it complements functional medicine. So that's wonderful. Can you share some specific Ayurvedic herbs or formulations aside from turmeric that are particularly effective for supporting vitality and longevity?
Absolutely. So turmeric is my mothership favorite plant on earth. I love it. Ginger is also phenomenal. Ginger
Yeah.
is anti-inflammatory. It's gut protective. We know when people are nauseous, we give them ginger. Ginger will
Right.
get in there and line the gut lining. So
Mm.
just using ginger in the morning will ignite gut digestive fire and support gut health for the day. If you're ever sitting down to a meal in a restaurant and you're like, I know this is not going to sit well with me, you can
Yeah.
have ginger in that meal and you can have like ginger lemon tea beforehand or carry a bag of ginger tea with you as just an emergency support.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
do love keeping ginger in mind, especially during travel and things like that. I love ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is like this powerhouse. It's my favorite herb after turmeric. I would do a whole PhD on ashwagandha if I had all my free time, but I have kids, so I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
yet. Until they're older and off to college. Then I can go study in depth like that again with all the time. But
Yeah.
ashwagandha is a adaptogen. So if the body is stressed and anxious, it calms it down a couple notches. If you're having the blues and depressed, it lifts you up. It's like this
Mm.
perfect thermostat. So I
Yeah.
love that adaptogens have that intelligence in the system. And the
Right.
meaning of ashwagandha is 100 horses, like that, the power of 100 horses. And so it really gives you this, what we call takat, like strength. It gives you this vitality. It's neurocognitive support. It's also anti-inflammatory. And I've seen one study that talked about how it's as effective as 14 different psychoactive drugs.
Wow.
I thought was fascinating. So
Wow.
I've not like validated that study myself, but I did read that and think, okay, there's a lot of
Yeah.
power behind mood support from ashwagandha. And I once had a formula that had it in there it's called optimal performance formula. And when I built it, it was interesting because all the men who took it were like, you know what? I just feel more calm and focused. And the women would say, I just feel a little less overwhelmed. Like I know everything's a lot, but I can just
Yeah.
focus in on what's important. So I
Yeah.
love that ashwagandha can help in that way. And there's a ton of adaptogens out there like that.
Yeah.
We have tulsi, we have shatavari, we have rhodiola. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot in the Ayurvedic toolkit that we reach into to help support the body. So that list to me is really fun because you can make teas, you can make concoctions, you can just buy them in great supplement form, but you can get
Mhm.
their support on board in the system. And you know what? Different supplements I play with taking them monthly, quarterly, seasonally, depending on what the issue is. A lot
Yeah.
of people say, do we have to take turmeric and all these things forever? I'm like, no, you don't. But the problem is nowadays, sometimes we're stressed chronically, sometimes we're
Yeah.
inflamed chronically. So it
Yeah.
just depends on what you need for your body.
Yeah. That's great. And so how does the Ayurvedic concept of is it oasis or vital energy tie into maintaining vibrant health as we age, and how can we strengthen this?
Yes. So we teach about something called ojas.
Oh,
And
just
ojas is this vitality that we can have or lose. And so if you've ever had a surgery or a major illness, sometimes you come out of it and you feel weaker, like
Hmm.
you don't have the same energy level, like you're fatigued, like you've been drained of your vitality. And
Yeah.
Ayurveda teaches that ojas is the byproduct of really great digestion and eating. So if we, for example, eat really well and eat foods that give us strength, like let's say almonds and ghee and butter and lots of vegetables and fruit, maybe meat and dairy, depending on your template, then if we have strong digestion and we assimilate that and process that and absorb all the nutrition and get rid of the excess, the byproduct at the end is ojas. It's this vitality within us. So it doesn't happen instantly. Let's say you had surgery. It might take a month or two of eating really well and giving the gut a break and letting it all build up to giving this ojas to us. And so I
Right.
really think of that as, am I building ojas or am I just completely skipping over it? And what's going to be the punishment if I don't focus on these ojas building practices? And nowadays, as we talk a lot more about perimenopause and menopause in women, I'm in the perimenopause phase and I'm studying menopause like it's my job. And all I hear is weight train, build that strength, build that
Yeah.
muscle. And so that's what ojas is. It's the precursor to being
Uh-huh.
able to hold on to that muscle and lift. So to me,
Yeah.
it's necessary that we focus on having the vitality and strength we need because as we age, we know cellular health can decline.
Yeah.
Mitochondrial health will decline. All these things will decline. So it's our job. And I looked up you and your website. You've got all the cool toys and tools and technologies. And I know you're in Houston. I can't wait to come to your center and see it because I'm from Houston, Texas. But those are the things that'll completely help us rebuild cellular health and rejuvenate and get everything back to its optimal prime level. And
Right.
OJIS is just the Ayurvedic way of saying that's really important. Let's build that with a focus.
That's great. I love that there's an understanding and a role for that goes back thousands of years. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So, what role does stress management play in Ayurveda, and how can practices like yoga, meditation, or pranayama help reduce inflammation and support overall health?
Absolutely. So Ayurveda taught us that our job is actually to bring body, mind, and spirit into alignment. And I don't know how life was 5,000 years ago, but I have to imagine it's a little less stressful in some ways than it is now.
Yeah.
Because nowadays we have all the physical insults of living in modern day life. Everything I touch could cause a toxic burden. Everything I breathe, my water, if I haven't filtered it and mineralized it and put electrolytes back in, is not going to help
Hmm.
me, right? So there's a lot of physicality stresses onto the system. So I do think it's important that we reduce those
Yeah.
actively and we detox them. Then you talk about mental health and emotional health. Between social media, 24-hour news cycles, maybe we're more interconnected as ever than ever, but we're also more disconnected than ever.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so that stress also is a 24/7 stress. Then you talk about when you sleep. When we sleep, we're supposed to just rest and rejuvenate and recalibrate and all the things. There's EMF and all sorts of things if we haven't
Yes.
built a tech bubble around ourselves to
Right.
protect us during that time. And
Yeah.
so I really try to just build such a strong, as strong as I can, lifestyle practice. And then I also try to pay attention to stress reduction. It's a little hard when you're trying to build great things. I'm trying to impact the whole world, create a turmeric that helps everyone, and raise kids and have a beautiful, healthy self-care life for myself.
Hmm.
And so to me, it's really about creating guardrails to everything that we're doing. Create those boundaries and using these practices. I go to yoga twice a week on the weekends, and that's my practice to just really tune into self and get quiet and make space. Breath work. If I'm in the car and I am driving from A to B, like let's say I finish work, I just remind myself no podcast, no radio, just take a minute, take some deep breaths. I don't even return phone calls, which is typically the assault is phone calls and texts and everything coming at you. I'll settle everyone on text and I'll just breathe. I'll play yoga music in my car and breathe just so I can get those few moments. Now, if you can do that outdoors in the sunlight,
Hmm.
that would be even better. Let's get that vitamin D. If you can do
Yeah.
it at the beginning of your or end of your day, that's great. Some of us have a template where we like to move. So my walk is my meditation. So
Mm.
a lot of times I'll take a morning walk or an evening walk, and some people are like, "Yeah, but I can't just walk with no purpose." And I get that because we're
Yeah.
so focused on
Yeah.
outcomes nowadays, but I'll take a walk and I'll just say to myself, find 5 beautiful things that nature made that you really love. And I'll
Yeah.
find this flower, and then I'll find this tree. And by the fifth thing, I'm just like, wow, gosh, God in the universe made the most beautiful planet, and we don't even see it. And I'll be in this bliss state and I'll hang out in that. And that's my meditation. So
That's
there's so
wonderful.
many ways to just
Yeah.
bring it in, and they're
Hmm.
free and they're
Hmm.
easy. And it's just
Yeah.
about getting outside and letting Mother Earth heal us and Mother Nature heal us. And that's really the belief of Ayurveda is let nature heal you. Live on nature's rhythm and you'll see that you can have incredible health.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if somebody is just beginning their journey into Ayurveda, where would you recommend they start? Are there specific resources or practices you suggest as a foundation?
Absolutely. On my website, I try to teach Ayurveda in the simplest way. On my YouTube channel, I have about 100 videos, but
Okay.
I try to show people that let's reduce inflammation by
Hmm.
just bringing these simple Ayurvedic practices that I've talked about into place. And then I have guidebooks on there, I have cookbooks, and then I have a bigger 6 week program that I do with people as well. But my goal for everyone is to show you circadian rhythm, gut health practices, the self-care rituals, how to reduce inflammation, how to get the best sleep ever. And once we put those into place, then we can really start personalizing as well. Like, hey, this is your constitution on a dosha quiz. Once you know your quiz results, let's
Hmm.
customize everything to if you're more air, fire, or earth. And so that's been really cool is showing people that there's a lot of ways to do this. It's just
Hmm.
about where you're at and the support you need for right now.
That's awesome. That's great. And as a leader in integrating Ayurveda with modern healthcare practices, what's your vision for how individuals can use this ancient science to live vibrant, healthy, and fulfilling lives?
My dream is one day we have platforms of health that are accessible to everyone, where
Hmm.
we're able to use functional medicine meets Ayurveda. So
Hmm.
functional medicine is the perfect system to show you what's going on under the hood, all those deficiencies that are causing trouble, the root causes, and also all the ways that we need to invest to optimize for longevity. Like at
Yeah.
this point, I've addressed all the issues. Now it's like, how do we optimize? How do we rise above and really create vibrant health for all my decades till I'm 100 years old? So I think functional medicine is so cool in all those ways. And then, like I said, let's bring in Ayurveda as the lifestyle. And that perfect platform of both is a perfect integration. And then, of course, use the super spices. Ayurveda spices, whether in your food or in your daily life in supplement form, are a great way to reduce that inflammation, be preventive, and then
Hmm.
have the immune system defense that we all need.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I had no idea, and I'm so impressed. And just seems like such a perfect combination of functional medicine and Ayurveda. So thank you so much for all this information.
Thank you for joining me on The Functional Edge. I hope today's episode gave you fresh insights and practical tools to level up your life. If you found value in what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe, share the podcast with someone who needs it, and leave a review. It's the best way to support our mission of bringing powerful health solutions to more people. For more resources, updates, and behind-the-scenes content, visit drjuliaward.com. Until next time, stay strong, stay healthy, and keep living on the functional edge.